Hi, and welcome to a third video on the interface program which I've written between Sonic Pi and TouchOSC. As you can see, if you watch the first two videos, the TouchOSC screen has considerably increased in complexity. There's much more on it. In fact, there's not much room for anything else now, and we'll be discussing some of the extra features in a minute. I won't go through the connections in great detail because they have been covered in the first two videos. Just to remind you that we have some MIDI ports up here. One for SPport is a virtual port, and this will enable information to be fed into Sonic Pi from external sources like this MIDI player up here, which you can see is connected to the ISE driver SP port. The second one, USB Oxygen, is the keyboard I have, which I'll demonstrate in a minute. And the third one, TouchOSC Bridge, which is a little program which is running up here, enables the TouchOSC running on my iPad to be connected to Sonic Pi. The picture of the screen is actually being produced by means of QuickTime, which is effectively set up on preview as if it's going to do a recording, and this enables us to get a picture of the iPad on the screen without any complex thing having to be done, so it can be included in the video. And as I already had a MIDI player up here, the program is running here in Sonic Pi, and if I very briefly switch to that, you can have a first brief look at the program. It's quite long. You can see it there. There's about 680 odd lines, and there's quite a lot of information in there. I did a little count up earlier today, and there are actually 11 defined functions and 38 different live loops running in that program, so there's a lot going on. Right, so let's go through it and see what we've actually added. So to do that, I'm going to start the program running, and hopefully you should see some changes in the screen on the right as we start that running. It should set itself up. It's actually missed a couple of things. We'll just do it again. That's better. Sometimes because there's an awful lot of data going, it misses something the first time, but once it's been set up once, it really picks it up the second time. I think we're getting fairly close to the limitation of the amount of stuff that can be passed between the two, because there's an awful lot of data going backwards and forwards. And some of it is happening continuously. You'll notice a little red light flashing on the screen up here, and that's because there is a live loop which is polling all the time and is refreshing some information on the screen. And the information it's actually refreshing are the row of little green LEDs which are all out at the moment at the bottom of the screen. I think if I actually start something playing in a minute, we'll see that going. Let's just do that. I've got a demonstration MIDI file which is just C scales going up and down for all 16 channels apart from channel 10, which has got some drum information going on. I get to start that running. You can see that all of those green LEDs are flashing on and off. They're not in real time. It's actually polling on roughly a 0.6 second interval, and if there's a note input around, it's going to flash that LED. And so you can see there's something on all 16 channels. I'm going to turn that off for a minute. It gets a bit annoying. Oops, trying to do it there. Do it down here. I'm trying to do it for real on my screen there, but do it on the touchpad, and you can see the effect up there. Now you can see all the information which is coming out there, and one of the new things we've got is down here, and that is that we can use this switch to switch channel 10 from interpreting information coming in as a drum set or as notes. So I've switched it on as a drum set, and we turn on channel 10. You can hear some drum information coming in from that repeatedly. Okay, we'll mute that again, and any of the other channels, they've all got, whichever one I choose, the same information. Let's see scales going backwards and forwards. And we can put the whole lot on, and it gets pretty loud, so we won't leave that on. Now, one of the other new features we've got on the left-hand side of the screen is the ability to selectively filter down or cut the volume of any channel. And I can do that by choosing some channels here, or I can choose the lot just by swiping my finger across it. Let's do that and turn these all on again. If I now slide this multiplier down and cut them down to a 10th volume, we'll cut it down a bit more there. This is applied to the drum set, which is independent of that, so we turn its volume down there like that, or in fact turn that one off. This can be quite useful if you've got a channel which is very predominant and you want to just balance it up a bit. You can choose the channel down here. Let's say it was channel 9, and you can just selectively bring that down to 25% while everything else is unaffected. Or you can use it, as I've seen, in a global filter for all the channels. So that's one of the new features. The activity LEDs is another one. The drum set is another one. And two other things we've got, I think will be better expressed if we actually play with the keyboard. So I'm going to stop that running. And if I play the keyboard, it is actually running. And we switch to the keyboard selector in the middle there. Should have actually changed something there. Yes, changed to keyboard. Then you can see that it's set to be playing a piano. If we move that up a bit, we've set it to tech saws now. Like that. And we can look at the other things which have changed here. On the pitch blend here, which you can see actually works, I had before just 3 presets: up an octave, down an octave, or back to 0. I've added up a fifth there, or down here, like that, to 0. And as we had before, the attack, sustain, release things all work as before. Very short blow. And we've got G-verb as before. We've got cut-off, which will affect the timbre of this one. Right, and one other thing that we've got which is new is the ability, because if you set this up with lots of complex settings, for example, we can, if we go back to the MIDI in mode, we can either have all the channels playing the same note, whatever, same synth, whatever one is set here, or we can individually set the individual channels by means of this switch here, so that we can adjust the synth that's going to be played by each one. So if we set the first channel to play chip lead, and if we set the second channel to play, let's say, square wave, and we set the third channel to play, some people sound a bit better, let's change mod FM, and we set the fourth channel to play profit, and the fifth channel to play Zawa, and the sixth channel to play, let's say, TBTO3. Let's just start playing again the C scale once more. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch on these channels selectively. There's channel 1, which is playing chip lead. Channel 2 is playing square wave. Channel 3 is playing mod FM. 4 is playing profit. 5 is playing Zawa. 6 is playing TB3. Put them all on together, getting the differences there. If I press this button here, we go to all channels. They're all playing what's set there, which is dark ambience. Or they're all playing piano there. They're all playing pulse. They're all playing sub-pulse. Switch there. They're all playing individual values. We'll turn off the ones which aren't. Leave those ones off which aren't playing. See the effect of these. And we'll stop start playing again. So you can see we've got a great deal of flexibility there. Let me show you that we can actually alter all these settings now. We're on save slot 1. If I press the load button, nothing happens. And that's for safety. I need to press the arm button first, and it only gives me 1 second to react. So if I just brush against it, after 1 second it goes off again. If I press it and then immediately press load, I get a red light there, and we've reset this to the standard setting when we first started off. If I were to choose a different channel, number 3, and arm that, and load again, different settings. So we've got a whole range of settings here which we can choose, and we can actually do this while things are playing. Probably not a good idea to save while they're playing, because that takes a bit longer by the time it's opened files and dumped to the file. And that's probably best done after you've finished, but not necessarily so. It can be done with care sometimes when you're playing. So let's leave that there, and I'm going to now give a performance of a piece which I quite like, which is a Stevie Wonder piece called Boogie on Reggae Woman. And I'm going to drag this, I'll take it off autoplay, I only want to play it once. I'm going to drag that file on there, ready to go. And so here we have the performance starting now. There we are. I hope you enjoyed that and a run through the facilities of my Sonic Pi keyboard MIDI controller. Thank you for watching.